The blood on the $100 bills didn't stop Emma Carter from counting them. Desperation has a way of making morality negotiable. She sat in the back office of Carter's luxury boutique, her mother's legacy crumbling around her like the peeling paint on the store's Victorian walls. 3 months. That's all she had before the bank seized everything her mother had built over 25 years. The medical bills from Mom's cancer treatment had bled them dry, and now Emma was watching her mother's dream die a second death. The boutique sat on Michigan Avenue, prime Chicago real estate that once catered to the city's elite. Now, the inventory gathered dust, suppliers demanded payment up front, and the few customers who wandered in left without buying. Emma had tried everything: social media marketing, sales, even taking a second job as a physical therapist at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Nothing worked fast enough. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Carter? The voice was female, professional, cold. My employer requires your services as a private physical therapist. The compensation is $50,000 per week for an estimated 6-week treatment period. Emma's heart stopped. $300,000. Enough to save the store, pay the suppliers, and start fresh. What's the injury? Emma asked, her physical therapist instincts kicking in despite the suspicious offer. Gunshot wounds to the shoulder and leg. The patient is recovering but requires intensive rehabilitation. You come highly recommended from your work at Northwestern. Gunshot wounds, private treatment, obscene money. Emma wasn't naive. She knew exactly what kind of employer this was. I need to think about it, Emma said, her voice barely steady. You have 2 hours, Miss Carter. After that, we'll find someone else. Someone who doesn't have a boutique 3 months from foreclosure. The line went dead. Emma stared at her phone, then at the stack of unpaid bills on her desk. Her mother's face smiled from the photo frame. The grand opening of Carter's luxury boutique, 1998. Margaret Carter had poured her soul into this store, working 16-hour days to give Emma a better life. And now Emma was watching it die because she couldn't save it. 2 hours later, Emma found herself in the back of a black Mercedes with tinted windows, driving through Chicago's South Side. The woman who'd called, introducing herself only as Miss Chen, sat beside her in a tailored black suit, her expression unreadable. Before we arrive, you need to understand the rules, Miss Chen said. You will treat your patient with complete professionalism. You will not ask questions about his business. You will not discuss what you see or hear with anyone, ever. Violation of confidentiality will have severe consequences. Is that a threat? Emma asked. It's a reality. My employer values loyalty above all else. Demonstrate yours and you'll be compensated beyond the agreed amount. Betray him, and your boutique will be the least of your concerns. The car pulled up to a massive estate in Oak Park, hidden behind 12-foot walls and iron gates. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Emma's stomach twisted as reality crashed over her. She was entering a world she couldn't escape from easily. The mansion was obscene in its luxury. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, artwork that belonged in museums. Miss Chen led Emma through corridors lined with men in expensive suits and barely concealed weapons. Every eye tracked her movement, assessing, calculating. They stopped at a door on the second floor. Miss Chen knocked once, then opened it. The room was a converted bedroom turned medical suite. Hospital bed, monitoring equipment, physical therapy tools that looked brand new and expensive. And in the center of it all, sitting in a wheelchair with his leg elevated, was the most dangerous-looking man Emma had ever seen. Vincent Moretti was 35, but looked older, hardened by whatever life he'd lived. Dark hair, sharp jaw, eyes like frozen steel that assessed Emma with predatory intelligence. Even injured, even in a wheelchair, he radiated menace. The gunshot wound on his exposed shoulder was healing, but angry, the scar tissue already forming. Miss Carter, he said, his voice deep and rough like gravel. Thank you for coming. Mr. Moretti, Emma replied, forcing her voice steady. I understand you need physical rehabilitation. I need to walk again without limping. I need full range of motion in my shoulder. And I need it done in 6 weeks. His eyes never left hers. "Can you deliver?" Emma approached him professionally, her therapist training overriding her fear. She examined his shoulder first, her fingers gentle but probing. The bullet had torn through muscle and tendon. Surgery had repaired the worst, but the rehabilitation would be brutal. "The shoulder will take 8 weeks minimum for full recovery," Emma said honestly. "The leg, if you're compliant with therapy, 6 weeks is possible." "I don't have 8 weeks." "Then you'll have a permanent restriction in your range of motion," Emma said bluntly. "Healing doesn't negotiate, Mr. Moretti. Neither do I." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe respect. No one apparently spoke to Vincent Moretti like that. 8 weeks, he agreed. "Double your rate. $400,000. Emma's mouth went dry. "I'll need access to proper equipment, daily sessions, and your complete compliance," Emma said. "That means following my instructions exactly, even when it hurts. Pain doesn't bother me, Miss Carter." "We'll see." Over the next hour, Emma conducted a full assessment, documenting his injuries, testing his current range of motion, building a rehabilitation plan. Vincent watched her with unnerving intensity, but Emma forced herself to focus on the work. This was just a patient, just a job, just money to save her mother's legacy. "We start tomorrow at 8 a.m., Emma said, packing her assessment tools. "Wear comfortable clothing. Be prepared to work." "Miss Chen will have a car pick you up at 7:30, Vincent said. "And Miss Carter, I appreciate your honesty. Most people tell me what I want to hear. You told me the truth." "The truth is all I have, Mr. Moretti." "Vincent," he corrected. "If you're going to touch me every day for 8 weeks, we should be on a first-name basis." There was nothing inappropriate in his tone, but Emma felt heat crawl up her neck anyway. She nodded and left quickly, Miss Chen escorting her back to the car. As the Mercedes drove her home, Emma stared at the contract Miss Chen handed her. $50,000 per week for 8 weeks, paid up front in installments. $400,000 to save everything. All she had to do was rehabilitate a Mafia boss and keep her mouth shut. She signed it. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Vincent's eyes, that predatory intelligence that saw too much. She'd read about him online, carefully, using incognito mode. Vincent Moretti, alleged head of the Moretti crime family, suspected in dozens of crimes but never convicted. Dangerous, ruthless, untouchable, and now she'd be touching him every day for 8 weeks. The next morning, Emma arrived at the mansion in professional attire. Athletic wear, hair pulled back, no makeup beyond basic professionalism. Vincent was already in the therapy room, dressed in black athletic pants and a tank top that revealed the extent of his injuries and the deadly power beneath. "Ready to hurt me, Emma?" he asked, and she hated how her name sounded in his voice. "Ready to heal you," she corrected. "Let's begin." The first session was brutal. Emma pushed him through range of motion exercises, stretching the wounded shoulder despite his barely concealed pain. Vincent never complained, never asked her to stop, but she saw his jaw clench, saw sweat bead on his forehead. "You're tougher than most of my patients," Emma admitted during a water break. "Most of your patients haven't been shot by rival families trying to take their territory," Vincent said casually, like discussing the weather. Emma froze. She wasn't supposed to ask questions, but he'd volunteered the information. "Is that what happened?" she asked carefully. "Ambush. 3 men. I killed 2, but the third got lucky." Vincent's eyes darkened. "He's dead now, of course." "Of course," Emma echoed faintly. Vincent smiled, but it wasn't comforting. "Does that frighten you, Emma? Knowing what I am?" "Yes," she admitted honestly. "But I've worked with trauma patients, veterans, people who've seen terrible things. Everyone deserves healing, Mr. Moretti." "Vincent," he corrected again. "And you're either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both." Something shifted in the air between them, something dangerous and electric. Emma felt it like static before a storm, and she quickly returned to therapy, pushing him harder to distract from whatever was building. By the end of the first week, Vincent's progress was remarkable. His pain tolerance was inhuman, and he followed her instructions exactly. But Emma noticed other things too. The way his eyes tracked her across the room, the way conversations lingered longer than necessary, the way he seemed genuinely interested in her life beyond their professional relationship. "Why physical therapy?" Vincent asked during their Friday session. "You could have been a surgeon, a specialist. Why rehabilitation?" Emma hesitated, then decided honesty had worked so far. "My mother had cancer." Watching her physical therapists help her maintain dignity and independence during treatment showed me the power of healing beyond medicine. I wanted to give that to people. "Your mother's boutique," Vincent said. "That's why you took this job." It wasn't a question. Emma nodded. "Tell me about it." And somehow, Emma found herself talking about her mother's dream, the boutique's glory days, the slow decline after the medical bills, the impending foreclosure. Vincent listened with complete attention, and for a moment, he didn't seem like a crime lord, just a man interested in her story. "I'll have my accountant send the first payment today," Vincent said when she finished. $50,000, as agreed. "Thank you," Emma whispered. "Don't thank me yet, Emma. This is business. You heal me, I pay you. Simple transaction." But the way he looked at her suggested nothing about this would stay simple. As Emma left that evening, she realized she was in deeper trouble than she'd thought. Not because of the Mafia world she'd stepped into, but because somewhere in the past week, Vincent Moretti had stopped being just a patient. And that was the most dangerous position of all. The $50,000 hit Emma's bank account on Saturday morning, and she cried in her empty boutique for 20 minutes straight. She paid the most urgent suppliers first, then the partial mortgage payment that would buy her another month. The relief was physical, a weight lifting from her chest that had pressed down for 6 months. Her mother's legacy would survive, at least for now. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Emma found herself nervous in a way she hadn't been the previous week. She'd spent the weekend thinking about Vincent, too much, too often, in ways that had nothing to do with physical therapy. The way his muscles flexed during exercises, the rare moments when he almost smiled, the darkness in his eyes that should terrify her, but instead fascinated her. She was playing with fire, and she knew it. Vincent was waiting in the therapy room, but something was different. The air felt charged, tense. His eyes tracked her from the moment she entered, and Emma realized with uncomfortable clarity that he'd been thinking about her too. "Good morning," Emma said professionally, setting down her equipment bag. "How did the weekend exercises go?" "Fine," Vincent replied. "The shoulder's improving. Less pain, better range." "Good. Let's test it." Emma approached him, and when her fingers touched his shoulder, she felt him tense. Not from pain, from something else entirely. She forced herself to focus, guiding him through the range of motion tests, measuring progress, staying clinical. But when she leaned closer to palpate the healing tissue, she caught his scent. Expensive cologne mixed with something uniquely him. Her breath hitched, and Vincent noticed. Of course he noticed. "Emma," he said quietly, and the way he said her name made heat pool in her stomach. "We need to maintain professional boundaries," Emma said quickly, stepping back. "I'm your therapist. You're my patient. That's all this can be." "Is it?" Vincent's eyes burned into hers. "Because I think we both know there's more here than therapy." "There can't be," Emma said firmly, even as her heart raced. "Your world, my world, they don't mix. This is temporary. 8 weeks, and I'm gone." "What if I don't want you gone?" The question hung between them, dangerous and tempting. "It doesn't matter what you want," Emma said, grabbing her professional armor like a shield. "Now, we're doing resistance training today. It's going to hurt." Vincent smiled darkly. "You keep threatening me with pain, Emma. I'm starting to think you enjoy it." She did. God help her, she did. The session was torture for both of them. Emma pushed him harder than necessary, punishing them both for the attraction neither could act on. Vincent endured it with gritted teeth and burning eyes that promised retribution. The tension was suffocating. "Enough," Vincent finally said, his voice rough. "We need to talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about." "Liar." He stood from the therapy table, towering over her despite the slight limp. "You feel this too. Don't insult us both by denying it. Feeling something doesn't mean acting on it," Emma said desperately. "You're a dangerous man in a dangerous world. I'm just trying to save my mother's boutique and survive. This, whatever this is, it can't happen." "Why not?" "Because you could destroy me." Emma's voice cracked. "You have all the power here, Vincent. The money, the influence, the control. I'm just the physical therapist you hired. If this goes wrong, I lose everything." Vincent stepped closer, and Emma backed up until she hit the wall. He caged her in with his arms, careful not to touch but close enough that she felt his heat. "You think I'm the only one with power here?" Vincent's voice was low, intimate. "Emma, you've had me tied in knots for 2 weeks. I think about you constantly. I wait for our sessions like an addict waiting for his next fix. You have more power over me than anyone has had in 15 years. "That's not power," Emma whispered. "That's obsession." "Maybe." Vincent's eyes dropped to her lips. "But it's honest. I want you, Emma. Not as my therapist, not as some transaction. I want you in my bed, in my life, in my world. And I think you want that too, even if it terrifies you." Emma's breath came in short gasps. Every rational thought screamed at her to push him away, to run, to protect herself. But her body betrayed her, leaning into his heat, craving his touch. "This is a terrible idea," she breathed. "The best things usually are." For one electric moment, Emma thought he'd kiss her. But Vincent pulled back instead, leaving her cold and confused against the wall. "I'm not going to take what you're not ready to give," Vincent said quietly. "When you come to me, Emma, it will be your choice. Freely made, fully knowing what it means." "And what does it mean?" Emma asked. Vincent's smile was dark and possessive. "It means you're mine. Completely, absolutely, irrevocably mine. I don't share, Emma. I don't do casual. If we cross this line, there's no going back." "That's insane. That's who I am." Vincent moved toward the door. "I have business to handle today. Take the rest of the day off. Same time tomorrow." He left before Emma could respond, and she slid down the wall, her legs too shaky to hold her. What the hell was she doing? She was falling for a Mafia boss who spoke about possession like it was romance, who could destroy her life with a phone call, who represented everything dangerous and wrong. But God, she wanted him anyway. The week continued in escalating tension. Every therapy session became a battlefield of control and desire. Emma pushed Vincent's rehabilitation harder, and he endured it with dark amusement, like he knew exactly what she was doing. Their conversations deepened, moving beyond professional boundaries into dangerous territory. Emma learned about Vincent's childhood, raised in the family business, his father's brutal training, his mother's death when he was 12. How he'd taken control of the Moretti Empire at 25 after his father's murder. How he'd consolidated power through intelligence and ruthlessness, earning both fear and respect. Vincent learned about Emma's life, her mother's sacrifice, her struggles through physical therapy school, her dreams of expanding the boutique into something her mother would be proud of. Her loneliness since her mother's death, the weight of trying to honor a legacy while drowning in debt. They were opposite in every way, yet somehow perfectly matched in their brokenness. On Thursday, Vincent surprised her. Instead of the therapy room, Miss Chen led Emma to the mansion's library, a gorgeous space with floor-to-ceiling books and leather furniture. Vincent stood by the window, dressed in an impeccable suit, looking every inch the powerful crime lord he was. "No therapy today?" Emma asked, confused. "I'm ahead of schedule on recovery," Vincent said. "You're an excellent therapist, Emma, but today I wanted to talk business." Emma's stomach dropped. "Am I being fired?" "No." Vincent gestured to a folder on the desk. "I'm making you an investment offer." Emma opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside were detailed financial projections for Carter's luxury boutique, renovation plans, supplier contracts, marketing strategies, staffing proposals, and at the bottom, an offer to purchase 49% ownership for $2 million. I don't understand, Emma whispered. Your boutique has potential, Vincent said. Prime location, established reputation, quality inventory. It's failing because of cash flow and outdated marketing. With proper investment, it could be profitable within a year. Why would you do this? Vincent moved closer. Because I want you to succeed. Because your mother's legacy matters to you, and what matters to you matters to me. Because I see your potential, Emma, in therapy and in business. This is too much, Emma said, overwhelmed. I can't accept this. It's a legitimate business investment, Vincent countered. You maintain 51% ownership and full creative control. I provide capital and business connections. My accountants project a 15% annual return. It's good business. It's a cage, Emma said quietly. You're buying a piece of my life. Vincent didn't deny it. I told you what it would mean if we crossed the line. I want you in my world, Emma. This is how it starts. By taking away my independence. By giving you the resources to build something extraordinary. Vincent's eyes softened slightly. I'm not trying to control you, Emma. I'm trying to support you. There's a difference. Emma wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe that this powerful, dangerous man could care about her without destroying her. But she'd seen enough movies, read enough news stories about women who fell for powerful men and lost themselves. I need time to think, Emma said. Take all the time you need, Vincent replied. But Emma, while you're thinking, remember this. I could have simply bought the boutique outright. I have the money and the influence to force the bank to sell to me. I didn't. I'm offering you partnership, not ownership. That means something. It did mean something. It meant Vincent understood power and control, and he was choosing to give her some of both. That should comfort her. Instead, it terrified her more, because it meant he was playing a longer game than she'd realized. Friday's therapy session was quiet, both of them aware of the unspoken offer hanging between them. Emma worked methodically through his exercises, and Vincent complied without his usual dark banter. The tension was different now, heavier, more inevitable. Your shoulder's at 85% range of motion, Emma said during the final assessment. The leg is ahead of schedule. You'll hit full recovery in 4 more weeks instead of 6. You're good at what you do, Vincent said. So are you, apparently. Emma closed her assessment notebook. I researched your business holdings. Legitimate ones, I mean. You own real estate, restaurants, a chain of luxury car dealerships. You're not just a criminal, Vincent. You're a businessman. Is that supposed to make you feel better about me? I don't know what's supposed to make me feel better about you, Emma admitted. You're a walking contradiction. You hurt people, but you're offering to save my mother's legacy. You're dangerous, but you make me feel safe. You should terrify me, but instead... Instead? Vincent prompted. Instead, I'm falling for you, Emma whispered. And I don't know how to stop. Vincent moved so fast Emma barely saw him. One moment he was across the room, the next he had her face cradled in his hands, his forehead pressed against hers. Don't stop, he breathed. Emma, don't stop. I'm falling too, and I don't want to do this alone. This will destroy me, or it will save us both. Vincent kissed her then. Not the rough, possessive kiss she'd expected, but something gentle and devastating. He kissed her like she was precious, like she mattered, like she was worth the world he was offering. Emma melted into it, her hands fisting in his shirt, her rational mind drowning in sensation. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Vincent rested his forehead against hers again. Say yes, he whispered, to the investment, to me, to all of it. Say yes, Emma. And God help her. Emma wanted to. She wanted to fall into this dangerous man and trust him to catch her. She wanted to build her mother's dream with his resources. She wanted to believe love could conquer the darkness in his world. "I need one promise," Emma said shakily. "Promise me you'll never lie to me. About your business, about the danger, about what being with you means. I need the truth, Vincent. Always." Vincent pulled back to look in her eyes. "I promise. No lies, no secrets. You'll know exactly what you're walking into." "Then yes," Emma breathed. "Yes to everything." Vincent kissed her again, and this time it wasn't gentle. This time it was possession and promise, darkness and desire. Emma surrendered to it, knowing she'd just crossed a line she could never uncross. She'd said yes to the Mafia boss. Now she just had to survive it. The contract sat on Emma's kitchen table for 3 days before she signed it. $2 million, 49% ownership, partnership with Vincent Moretti in both business and life. Every logical brain cell screamed at her to walk away, to take the therapy money she'd already earned and run. But her heart, treacherous, foolish thing, had already made the decision. She signed on Wednesday morning and called Vincent immediately. "It's done," Emma said when he answered. "Come to the mansion tonight," Vincent replied. "We'll celebrate properly." "Vincent, I'm still your therapist for 3 more weeks. Then we'll celebrate professionally." She could hear the dark amusement in his voice. 7 o'clock. Wear something beautiful." He hung up before she could argue. Emma stood in her modest apartment's closet for an hour, trying to find something appropriate for dinner with a Mafia boss who'd just become her business partner and lover. Everything she owned felt inadequate. Too casual, too professional, too innocent for the world she was entering. Finally, she chose a deep emerald dress her mother had bought her years ago, elegant but understated. Simple jewelry, minimal makeup, hair down in soft waves. When she looked in the mirror, she saw her mother's daughter. Classy, dignified, strong. She hoped it would be enough. The Mercedes arrived exactly at 6:30. Miss Chen sat in the back, eyeing Emma with an expression that might have been approval. "Mr. Moretti is pleased you accepted his offer," Miss Chen said as they drove. "Are you?" Emma asked boldly. Miss Chen's lips curved slightly. "I've worked for Vincent for 12 years. I've seen him with many women, socialites, models, actresses. He was never serious about any of them. You're different. Is that good or bad? That depends on whether you can survive his world," Miss Chen said bluntly. "Vincent's enemies will see you as a weakness to exploit. His allies will test you to see if you're worthy. And Vincent himself, he loves obsessively, possessively. He'll give you everything, but he'll demand everything in return. You're not exactly selling this relationship. I'm being honest, which is more than most people will give you." Miss Chen's expression softened fractionally. "But if anyone can handle Vincent, I think it might be you. You don't fear him, but you respect him. That's rare." The mansion looked different at night, lit up like a palace, beautiful and intimidating. Guards still patrolled, but they nodded respectfully at Emma now. Word had spread. She wasn't just the therapist anymore. She was Vincent's woman. The weight of that title pressed down on her shoulders. Vincent waited in a private dining room Emma hadn't seen before. Intimate space, table set for 2, candles flickering, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the estate gardens. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, looking every inch the powerful crime lord he was. But when he saw Emma, his expression shifted into something raw and hungry. "You're stunning," Vincent said, moving toward her like a predator. "Absolutely stunning." "It's just a dress," Emma said nervously. "It's not the dress." Vincent took her hand, kissing her knuckles while maintaining eye contact. "It's the woman wearing it. Thank you for saying yes, Emma, to everything." Dinner was Italian, apparently Vincent's grandmother's recipes, prepared by a chef who'd cooked for the Moretti family for 30 years. The food was incredible, but Emma barely tasted it. She was too aware of Vincent across the table, watching her with devastating focus. "Tell me about your plans for the boutique," Vincent said between courses. Emma relaxed slightly, discussing business. I want to honor my mother's original vision: curated luxury, personal service, exclusive pieces. But modernize it with online presence, social media marketing, maybe collaborate with emerging designers. Create an experience, not just a store. Smart, Vincent approved. I have connections with several fashion houses in New York and Milan. I'll arrange introductions. Vincent, I don't want special treatment because of you. You'll get special treatment because you're brilliant and your boutique will make them money, Vincent corrected. I'm just opening doors, Emma. You'll walk through them on your own merit. They talked for hours. About business, about art, about Emma's mother and Vincent's complicated family history. He told her about his younger sister, Sophia, who'd escaped the family business to become a doctor in Seattle. About his cousin Marco, his second-in-command, who'd been his best friend since childhood. Will I meet them? Emma asked. Vincent's expression darkened slightly. Eventually. But Emma, you need to understand. My family, my organization, they'll have opinions about you, about us. Some will welcome you. Others will see you as an outsider, a distraction, a liability. How do you see me? As mine, Vincent said simply. And anyone who threatens you will learn exactly what that means. The possessiveness should have frightened her. Instead, it sent heat coursing through her veins. After dinner, Vincent led her to the library. He poured 2 glasses of wine, then gestured to the desk where a new folder waited. I have something else for you, Vincent said. Emma opened it and froze. Inside were documents transferring complete ownership of Carter's luxury boutique back to her, 100%. No partnership, no strings, no obligations. I don't understand, Emma whispered. The contract we signed was a test, Vincent interrupted quietly. I needed to know if you wanted me or my money. If you'd say yes to me when you didn't need my financial support anymore. Emma's hands trembled. You're giving me the boutique? I'm giving you freedom, Vincent corrected. The $2 million is yours, no strings attached. Invest it in the store, invest it elsewhere. Put it in savings. I don't care. But your business is yours, Emma. Completely. Why? Emma's voice cracked. Why would you do this? Vincent moved closer, cupping her face gently. Because I don't want you staying with me out of obligation or necessity. I want you to choose me freely, knowing you could walk away anytime. That's the only way this works. Tears streamed down Emma's face. You manipulative bastard. Yes, Vincent agreed. But an honest one. I told you I'd never lie to you. This is me proving it. Emma kissed him then. Hard, desperate, grateful. Vincent responded immediately, his hands tangling in her hair, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, hunger and need overwhelming them both. Stay tonight. Vincent breathed against her lips. Stay with me, Emma. Every rational thought told her to slow down, to think, to protect her heart. But Emma was done being rational. Yes, she whispered. Vincent swept her into his arms, careful of his healing shoulder, and carried her through the mansion to his private wing. His bedroom was masculine, elegant, dominated by a massive bed that suddenly seemed very significant. He set her down gently, then stepped back, giving her space. We can stop any time, Vincent said, his voice rough with restraint. Just say the word, Emma. I'll take you home, no questions asked. I don't want to stop, Emma said, reaching for him. I want you, Vincent, all of you. What happened next was intense, overwhelming, transformative. Vincent made love to her with a combination of tenderness and possession that left Emma shattered and remade. He worshipped her body like it was sacred, claimed her like she was his salvation, and somewhere in the tangled sheets and whispered promises, Emma fell completely and irrevocably in love with a man who could destroy her. Afterward, she lay in his arms, tracing the scars on his chest, bullet wounds, knife marks, evidence of a violent life. Do you regret it? Vincent asked quietly. No, Emma said honestly. I'm terrified, but I don't regret it. Good. Vincent kissed her forehead. Because I'm never letting you go now. That's not healthy, you know. This obsessive possession thing. I never claimed to be healthy, Vincent said with dark amusement. I'm a criminal, Emma. I've killed people, hurt people, done terrible things to protect my empire. I'm not a good man. But you're good to me. You're different, Vincent said fiercely. You're the only clean thing in my dirty world. The only person who sees me as human instead of monster. I'll burn the world down before I lose you. Emma shivered at the intensity in his voice. This was real. His obsession, his possession, his dangerous love. There was no going back now. The next morning, Emma woke to find Vincent already dressed in workout clothes, carefully stretching his shoulder. Your therapy worked, he said, noticing her awake. Full range of motion, no pain. You healed me, Emma. That was the job, Emma said, sitting up with the sheet wrapped around her. No, Vincent said seriously. You healed more than my shoulder. You healed something in me I thought was permanently broken. Before Emma could respond, rapid knocking interrupted them. Miss Chen's voice came urgently through the door. Vincent, we have a situation. Marco needs you immediately. Vincent's entire demeanor changed, from lover to crime lord in seconds. Stay here, he ordered Emma. Don't leave this room until I come back. What's happening? Business, Vincent said grimly. The kind you don't want to know about. He kissed her hard and fast, then disappeared. Emma heard urgent voices in the hallway, then silence. She was alone in a Mafia boss's bedroom, having just spent the night with a man who admitted to killing people. Reality crashed over her. What had she done? Emma got dressed quickly, trying to calm her racing heart. She was in too deep now. She'd crossed every line, broken every rule. She'd fallen in love with danger incarnate. An hour later, Vincent returned. His knuckles were bruised, and there was blood on his shirt. Not his, Emma realized with sick certainty. Are you hurt? Emma asked, professional instincts kicking in. No, Vincent said flatly. But someone who threatened my interests is. Vincent. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to, Vincent interrupted. This is my world, Emma. Sometimes it's violent. Can you handle that? Emma looked at the man she loved. Dangerous, damaged, devoted. She thought about her mother, who'd always taught her that love meant accepting people wholly, darkness and light together. I can handle it, Emma said quietly. As long as you keep your promise. No lies. No lies, Vincent agreed. Ever. He pulled her close, and Emma let herself believe that love could survive anything, even the darkness waiting to consume them both. 3 weeks changed everything. Emma moved between two worlds now. Mornings at the boutique, rebuilding her mother's dream with Vincent's money burning a hole in her conscience, and evenings at the mansion, falling deeper into a relationship that defied every definition of normal. The boutique transformation was remarkable. Professional renovations, new inventory from exclusive suppliers, a social media manager Vincent hired without asking. Emma should have been angry about his interference, but the results spoke for themselves. Customers returned, sales climbed, fashion bloggers took notice. Carter's luxury boutique was coming back to life. But success came with complications. Chicago's elite weren't stupid. They recognized Moretti money when they saw it. Whispers followed Emma through her own store. The physical therapist sleeping with the mob boss. The opportunist who traded her body for financial security. Emma tried not to care. She failed. Ignore them, Vincent said one evening, finding her staring at her laptop, reading a particularly vicious society blog post. They're jealous, irrelevant people with small lives. They're calling me your whore, Emma said bluntly. Vincent's expression went ice cold. Give me names. No, Emma said firmly. You can't threaten everyone who insults me. Watch me. Vincent. Emma closed her laptop, moving to stand between his legs where he sat on the couch. I knew this would happen. I accepted it when I said yes to you. I just need to develop thicker skin. You shouldn't have to, Vincent said, pulling her into his lap. You deserve respect. I'm dating a criminal, Emma pointed out. Respect might be asking too much. Vincent's jaw clenched. Does it bother you? What I am. Emma considered lying, then remembered his promise. No lies between them. Sometimes, she admitted. When I see blood on your clothes, when you come home with bruised knuckles, when you take phone calls and leave the room so I won't hear? Yes, it bothers me. But not enough to leave. Why not? Vincent's eyes searched hers. Any rational person would run from this. Because I love you, Emma said simply. Stupidly, dangerously, completely. I love you, Vincent Moretti, and apparently love makes people irrational. Vincent went very still. Say that again. Which part? The important part. I love you, Emma repeated, heart pounding. Even though you're terrifying and possessive and probably bad for my health, I love you. Vincent kissed her with devastating thoroughness, then pulled back just enough to whisper against her lips. I love you too, Emma Carter. More than power, more than my empire, more than my own life. You're everything. They made love on the couch, then the floor, then eventually made it to the bedroom. Vincent was insatiable, worshipping her body like he needed to prove his devotion physically. Emma surrendered completely, past caring about propriety or consequences. She was his. He was hers. Nothing else mattered. At 2 a.m, Emma woke to find Vincent's side of the bed empty. She found him in his office, surrounded by paperwork and laptop screens, looking exhausted and troubled. Can't sleep? Emma asked from the doorway. Vincent glanced up, his expression softening when he saw her wearing his shirt. Business problems. Go back to bed, baby. Talk to me instead, Emma said, settling into the chair across from his desk. You promised no secrets. Vincent hesitated, then sighed. The Russo family is pushing into my territory. They've hit 3 of my businesses in the past month. Nothing major, just testing boundaries. But it's escalating. What does that mean? It means war is coming, Vincent said grimly. And when it does, you're going to be in danger just by association with me. Fear iced Emma's spine. How much danger? Enough that I've assigned you personal security starting tomorrow. 2 guards, 24/7. One will be with you at the boutique, another at your apartment. Vincent, that's excessive. It's necessary, Vincent interrupted. The Russos know about you, Emma. They know you matter to me. That makes you a target. Maybe I should leave, Emma said quietly. Go somewhere safe until this is over. Vincent's eyes flashed dangerously. No. I'm trying to be rational. I don't care about rational. Vincent stood, rounding the desk to pull her up into his arms. You're not leaving. You're staying where I can protect you, where I can see you, where I know you're safe. I won't survive losing you, Emma. Don't ask me to risk that. This is crazy, Emma whispered. This is love, Vincent corrected. Messy, irrational, dangerous love. But it's ours. The next morning, Emma met her security detail. Tony was a bear of a man with kind eyes and 20 years of military experience. Lisa was compact, deadly efficient, and wore her gun like an accessory. Both took their jobs seriously. Emma felt ridiculous walking into her boutique with armed guards, but she couldn't deny feeling safer. The morning passed normally. Customers browsing, sales being made, Emma consulting with her new marketing manager. But around noon, a woman entered who made Lisa tense immediately. She was beautiful. Dark hair, designer clothes, predatory confidence. She examined the boutique with cold assessment before approaching Emma. You must be Emma Carter, the woman said. I'm Isabella Russo. Emma's blood ran cold. Russo, the enemy family. I'm afraid we're fully booked for consultations today, Emma said carefully. I'm not here to shop, Isabella said with a sharp smile. I'm here to deliver a message. Tell Vincent that my brother sends his regards. And his condolences. Condolences for what? For what's coming, Isabella said softly. You're very beautiful, Emma. Such a shame you chose the wrong side. Tony stepped forward, hand on his weapon. Time for you to leave, ma'am. Isabella smiled cruelly. Of course. Enjoy your boutique while it lasts, Emma. Moretti businesses have a tendency to burn. She left before Emma could respond, but the threat hung in the air like smoke. Emma called Vincent immediately. He arrived at the boutique within 20 minutes, fury radiating off him in waves. What did she say exactly? Vincent demanded. Emma repeated the conversation. Vincent's expression grew darker with every word. Marco, Vincent barked to his cousin who'd accompanied him. Double security on all our properties. I want eyes on every Rousseau movement. And find out how Isabella knew about Emma's boutique. Vincent, maybe you should just give them whatever territory they want, Emma said desperately. Avoid the war. It's not about territory anymore, Vincent said grimly. It's about respect, power, survival. The Rousseaus smell weakness. If I back down now, every family in Chicago will think they can push me around. My empire will crumble. So what, you fight? People die? Yes, Vincent said bluntly. That's how this world works, Emma. I told you it was violent. I didn't think it would be this violent, Emma said, voice shaking. Isabella threatened to burn my boutique, Vincent, my mother's legacy, because of you. Vincent flinched like she'd slapped him. I'll protect the boutique. I'll protect you. I swear it. How? You can't be everywhere at once. And I won't hide in your mansion like some prisoner while you wage war. Then what do you want me to do? Vincent's voice rose in frustration. Walk away from you? Pretend we don't matter to each other? That won't make you safer, Emma. The Rousseaus already know about you. Leaving me now just means you'll be unprotected. Emma realized the trap she'd fallen into. Loving Vincent meant accepting his world, his enemies, his violence. There was no escape now. I want you to keep me informed, Emma said finally. No more protecting me from the truth. If I'm in danger, I need to know everything. Vincent pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. Everything. I promise. That night, Vincent took Emma to meet his inner circle, the men who ran his empire. Marco, his cousin and second in command, was surprisingly warm, welcoming Emma with genuine affection. The others were more reserved, assessing her with calculating eyes. So, you're the woman who's got Vincent acting like a lovesick teenager, Marco said with a grin. Nice to finally meet you. He talks about me? Emma asked. Constantly, Marco confirmed. It's annoying, actually. I preferred when he only talked about money and murder. Marco, Vincent warned. What? She should know you're obsessed. The meeting was surreal, discussing criminal operations over expensive whiskey like it was legitimate business. Emma listened more than she spoke, learning the structure of Vincent's empire. Protection rackets, gambling operations, money laundering through legitimate businesses. Nothing violent, Marco insisted. Not anymore. Vincent had modernized the family business. But the Rousseaus were old school. They believed in blood, intimidation, territory wars, which meant conflict was inevitable. How does this end? Emma asked Vincent later, alone in his office. One of two ways, Vincent said honestly. The Rousseaus back down, or we eliminate them as a threat. Eliminate means kill. Yes. Emma closed her eyes. I don't know if I can be with someone who kills people. I've killed people long before I met you, Vincent said quietly. This isn't new, Emma. You just didn't have to face it directly before. Maybe I was naive. Maybe you were hopeful, Vincent corrected. Hoping I could be different, better, worthy of you. But I am what I am, baby. I won't apologize for protecting what's mine. Even if it costs your soul? I lost my soul long ago, Vincent said with dark certainty. But you? You're my redemption, Emma. You make me want to be better, even if I can never actually be good. Emma looked at the man she loved. Complicated, dangerous, devoted. She thought about walking away, protecting herself, choosing safety over passion. Then she thought about living without him, and the emptiness was unbearable. "I'm staying," Emma said. "But Vincent, I need you to promise me something else. Promise that you'll always choose us over the Empire if it comes down to it. That you won't let this war destroy what we have." Vincent crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. "I promise. You're more important than any territory, any power, any family legacy. If I have to burn my entire empire to keep you safe, I'll light the match myself." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." "Let's hope," Vincent agreed. But they both knew hope was a luxury in his world. War was coming, and Emma was right in the crossfire. The explosion happened at 3 a.m. Emma jolted awake to Vincent already out of bed, phone pressed to his ear, his voice deadly calm as he barked orders. She caught fragments. Warehouse, South Side, total loss, no casualties. "Stay here," Vincent commanded, pulling on clothes with military efficiency. "Tony and Lisa are outside your door. Don't leave this room." "Vincent, what's happening?" "The Russos just made their move," he said grimly, strapping a gun to his ankle. "They torched one of my warehouses. 3 million in inventory, gone." Emma's stomach dropped. "Anyone hurt?" "My night crew got out in time, thank God." Vincent crossed to her, cupping her face roughly. "This is retaliation for me refusing their territory demands. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Let me come with you." "Absolutely not," Vincent said firmly. "You stay here where it's safe. I'll handle this." He kissed her hard, then disappeared into the chaos of ringing phones and shouted orders. Emma sat alone in the massive bed, listening to the mansion come alive with activity. Men moving through hallways, cars starting, the machinery of war mobilizing. She'd never felt more helpless in her life. Hours later, as dawn broke over Chicago, Vincent returned. His clothes smelled like smoke, his knuckles were split, and there was a hardness in his eyes that Emma had never seen before. "Tell me," she said quietly. Vincent poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey despite the early hour. "The warehouse was insured, so financially we'll recover. But it's the principle. The Russos attacked me on my own territory. If I don't respond decisively, I look weak. Every family in Chicago will sense blood in the water." "What kind of response?" Vincent's smile was cold and terrifying. "The kind that reminds everyone why you don't cross the Moretti family." "Vincent, please tell me you're not going to kill anyone." "I'm not going to lie to you, Emma," Vincent said, echoing his promise. "Yes, people might die. That's the reality of my world. The Russos declared war. I'm going to finish it." Emma felt sick. There has to be another way. Negotiation, mediation, something that doesn't involve murder. "This isn't a corporate boardroom," Vincent snapped, exhaustion and stress fraying his control. "This is the street. The only language the Russos understand is force. If I show mercy, they'll interpret it as weakness and come after everything I have, including you. So you'll become a monster to protect me?" "I already am a monster," Vincent said flatly. "You just chose to love me anyway." The words hung between them like broken glass. Emma wanted to argue, to convince him there was another path, but she saw the truth in his eyes. He'd made this decision long before she woke up. "Just promise me one thing," Emma said, voice cracking. "Promise me you'll come back alive. That whatever you do out there, you'll survive it. Because I can't lose you, Vincent." "I won't survive it." Vincent's expression softened. He crossed to her, pulling her into his arms with desperate intensity. "I promise," he whispered into her hair. "I'll always come back to you, Emma. Always." The next week was hell. Vincent disappeared for hours, sometimes days, returning with new bruises and a darkness in his eyes that scared her. The news reported fires, unexplained deaths, gang violence escalating across Chicago. Emma knew Vincent was behind some of it, even if he never explicitly confirmed. The boutique became her sanctuary. Throwing herself into work was easier than sitting home imagining worst-case scenarios. Sales were booming. Apparently, danger made her more interesting to Chicago's elite. The irony wasn't lost on Emma, but constant security was suffocating. Tony and Lisa shadowed her everywhere, vetted every customer, turned away anyone remotely suspicious. Emma appreciated their protection, but she missed simple things like walking alone, making spontaneous decisions, feeling like her life was her own. "You doing okay?" Lisa asked one afternoon, finding Emma staring out the boutique window instead of working. "Honestly? No," Emma admitted. "I'm terrified every time Vincent leaves. I'm exhausted from pretending everything's normal, and I'm angry that loving him means accepting all this violence." "You could leave," Lisa said neutrally. "Go somewhere safe. Start over. Vincent would understand." "Would he?" "No," Lisa admitted with a small smile. "He'd probably lose his mind. But he'd let you go if you really wanted it. That's how much he loves you." Emma turned to study her guard. "How long have you worked for Vincent?" 8 years. He saved my life during a botched operation against a rival family. I was DEA, undercover, compromised. Vincent pulled me out, gave me a new identity, new life. I owe him everything. So you've seen his world up close. "Yeah," Lisa said. "And I'll tell you this. Vincent's one of the good ones, relatively speaking. He has rules, codes. He doesn't hurt civilians, doesn't traffic in drugs or people, doesn't tolerate rape or child abuse in his organization. A lot of bosses can't say that. The bar is set pretty low if doesn't traffic children makes someone good." Lisa laughed. "Fair point. But in this world, Emma, you take the wins you can get. And Vincent genuinely loves you. That's huge. Most men in his position see women as possessions or status symbols. Vincent sees you as his equal, his partner. That's rare." Emma wanted to believe that. She desperately wanted to believe loving Vincent wasn't the biggest mistake of her life. That evening, Marco showed up at the boutique instead of Vincent's usual car service. "Change of plans," Marco said, his easy smile absent. "Vincent wants you at a safe house tonight. The mansion's compromised." Emma's blood ran cold. "What happened?" "Russo surveillance. They've been watching the estate, tracking Vincent's movements. It's not secure anymore." Marco guided her toward an unmarked SUV. "Come on, we need to move." The safe house was actually a luxury penthouse in downtown Chicago, nondescript building but impeccable interior. Vincent was already there, along with several of his men, laptops and weapons spread across the dining table like a war room. He looked up when Emma entered, relief flashing across his face before the mask returned. "You're okay," Vincent said, crossing to her immediately. "Thank God." Marco said the mansion's compromised? The Russos planted cameras and listening devices throughout the property, Vincent explained grimly. "They've been monitoring us for weeks, maybe longer. Everything we discussed, every plan we made, they knew about it." "How is that possible with all your security?" "Someone on the inside helped them," Marco answered. "We're still identifying who, but yeah, we have a traitor." Emma felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Vincent's own people had betrayed him. No one was safe. "I'm moving you somewhere the Russos can't find," Vincent said. "Private island, off the coast of Florida. My sister Sophia is already there, and I'm sending—" "No," Emma interrupted. "I'm not running away and hiding while you fight this war. Emma, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable," Emma said firmly. "You promised we'd face things together. Shipping me off to some island isn't together, Vincent. It's you making decisions for me. I'm trying to keep you alive, and I'm trying to keep us together." Emma's voice rose in frustration. "Every decision you make pushes me further away. More guards, more restrictions, more hiding. I understand the danger, but I won't be locked in a cage for my own protection." Vincent looked like he wanted to argue, but Marco cleared his throat diplomatically. "Maybe we compromise?" Marco suggested. Emma stays in Chicago, but we move her between safe houses randomly. Harder to track, easier to protect, but she's still close. Vincent looked torn, his protective instincts warring with his promise to treat Emma as an equal. Fine, he finally agreed. But you follow every security protocol exactly. No arguments, no exceptions. Deal, Emma said. That night, lying in bed in an unfamiliar penthouse with armed guards outside the door, Emma finally broke down. The stress, the fear, the constant adrenaline, it all crashed over her at once. She cried silently, trying not to wake Vincent, but he noticed immediately. Hey, hey! Vincent pulled her close, his voice gentle. Talk to me, baby. I'm scared, Emma admitted through tears. I'm so scared, Vincent. Scared you'll die. Scared I'll die. Scared we'll lose everything we've built. This isn't the life I imagined. I know, Vincent said, pain in his voice. God, Emma, I know. You deserved better than this. Candlelit dinners and romantic dates, not war rooms and safe houses. But I'm selfish enough to keep you anyway because losing you would destroy me. I don't want better, Emma said fiercely. I want you. I just want to stop being terrified every second of every day. I soon, Vincent promised. The Russos are overextended, making mistakes. We've already identified their key players, their supply lines, their weaknesses. This war ends soon, one way or another. And then what? Another family challenges you? Another war starts? Vincent was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking about that, about what comes after. Maybe it's time to transition the family business into something more legitimate. Real estate, investments, legal enterprises. Use the money we have to build something clean. Emma pulled back to look at him. You'd really do that? For you? Yes, Vincent said simply. I can't erase my past, Emma, but maybe I can build a better future. One where our children don't grow up in this world. Children? Emma's heart stuttered. Vincent smiled, vulnerable in a way she rarely saw. Eventually, if you want them. If you'll marry me and build a life despite everything I am. Is that a proposal? Not yet, Vincent said. When I propose, it'll be proper. Ring, romance, the whole production. But I'm telling you my intentions. I want forever with you, Emma Carter. However much forever I can steal from this violent world. Emma kissed him with everything she had. Love and fear and hope tangled together. They made love desperately, clinging to each other like lifelines, trying to forget the danger waiting outside their temporary sanctuary. Afterward, as Vincent slept, Emma stared at the ceiling and made a decision. She wouldn't just survive this war. She'd help end it. Tomorrow she'd talk to Marco about the Russos' weaknesses. Maybe there was information she could provide, patterns she'd noticed, something useful. If Vincent could compromise his empire for her, she could compromise her innocence for him. They were in this together now, for better or worse, and Emma was done being just the woman Vincent protected. It was time to become his partner in every sense of the word. Emma found the traitor by accident. She was reviewing boutique finances in the penthouse office when she noticed something odd. Invoices from a supplier she'd never approved, charging Vincent's accounts for inventory that never arrived. Small amounts, easily overlooked, but consistent over 6 months. The supplier's address was registered to a shell company. The signature on the contracts belonged to Vincent's logistics manager, David Chen, Miss Chen's younger brother. Emma's hands trembled as she cross-referenced the dates. Every fraudulent invoice coincided with a Russo attack or security breach. David wasn't just stealing money. He was selling information. She called Marco immediately. You're sure? Marco asked, his voice tight. 90% sure, Emma said. The pattern is too consistent to be coincidence. David's been funneling money and intel to the Russos for months. Miss Chen is going to be devastated, Marco muttered. David's her only family. Where's Vincent? Meeting with suppliers on the south side. I'll call him back immediately. No, Emma said quickly. Let me tell him. This is delicate, and Miss Chen deserves to hear it from someone who understands. Marco paused. You sure you want to be involved in this? Once you cross this line, there's no going back to ignorance. I crossed that line when I fell in love with Vincent, Emma said. I'm all in now. Vincent returned 2 hours later, his expression darkening as Emma laid out the evidence. He studied the invoices with terrifying focus. His jaw clenched so tight Emma worried his teeth would crack. Get Miss Chen, Vincent finally said to Marco. And find David. Bring him here alive. Miss Chen arrived within 20 minutes, her usual composure fracturing when she saw the evidence. Her brother's betrayal was written in black and white across financial documents she'd helped prepare. I didn't know, Miss Chen said, her voice breaking. Vincent, I swear I didn't know David was involved. I believe you, Vincent said, surprising Emma with his gentleness. You've been loyal for 12 years, Chen. Your brother's sins aren't yours. But he's family, Miss Chen whispered. I brought him into your organization. His betrayal is my failure. No, Vincent said firmly. His betrayal is his own choice. You're not responsible for his weakness. David arrived an hour later, dragged in by 2 of Vincent's enforcers. He was young, barely 25, and when he saw his sister, he started crying. I'm sorry, David sobbed. I'm so sorry, Chen. They had evidence of my gambling debts, threatened to kill me if I didn't cooperate. I didn't know what else to do. You could have come to me, Vincent said coldly. I would have covered your debts, protected you from the Russos. Instead, you betrayed your family and got 3 of my men killed in that warehouse fire. David went pale. I didn't know they'd do that. They said they just wanted information, logistics schedules. Nothing violent. The Russos played you, Marco interrupted harshly. They always planned violence. Your information gave them the tools. Emma watched Vincent struggle with rage and mercy. She saw him glance at Miss Chen, saw the woman he respected and trusted pleading silently for her brother's life. Emma, Vincent said quietly, you found the evidence. What do you think the consequence should be? Every eye in the room turned to her. Emma realized this was a test, not of loyalty, but of understanding. Vincent was showing her how his world worked, letting her participate in justice rather than shielding her from it. Emma looked at David, saw his fear and regret. Then she thought about the warehouse workers who barely escaped with their lives, the escalating violence, the danger Vincent faced daily because someone sold his secrets. He betrayed the family, Emma said carefully. That can't go unpunished, or everyone will think betrayal is acceptable. But death seems excessive for someone who was coerced and genuinely regrets his actions. Vincent nodded slowly. Go on. Exile, Emma suggested. Strip him of all Moretti family connections, protections, and resources. Make him survive on his own with the knowledge that if he ever approaches Chicago again, the mercy ends. Miss Chen looked at Emma with desperate gratitude. David sagged with relief. Vincent considered for a long moment, then nodded. Exile. Marco, put him on a bus to Seattle tonight. No money, no phone, no resources beyond a one-way ticket. If he survives, he survives. If not, Vincent shrugged coldly. Natural selection. Thank you, Miss Chen whispered to Emma after David was dragged away. Thank you for showing mercy. Vincent showed mercy, Emma corrected. I just gave him an option. No, Miss Chen said firmly. Without you, David would be dead. You're changing Vincent, making him more human. That's valuable in this world. After everyone left, Vincent pulled Emma into his arms, holding her with fierce intensity. You handled that perfectly, he murmured into her hair. Mercy with teeth. That's the balance I struggle with every day. I don't enjoy having that kind of power, Emma admitted. Neither do I, Vincent said. But it's the burden of leadership, making impossible choices, living with the consequences. At least now I don't have to carry it alone. The next week moved quickly. With David's betrayal exposed, Vincent's team swept the organization for additional leaks, tightened security protocols, and prepared for the final confrontation with the Russos. Tensions rose daily, but Vincent also made time for Emma. Quiet dinners in safe houses, stolen moments of normalcy, conversations about the future they were fighting to build. He talked about transitioning legitimate, about the children they might have, about growing old together if they survived the present. Emma fell more in love with him each day, even as the danger escalated. Then, on a rainy Thursday evening, Vincent asked her to dress nicely for dinner. "Are we going out?" Emma asked, suspicious. "Is that safe?" "I own the restaurant, have it swept for bugs daily, and we'll have 12 guards," Vincent said with amusement. "It's as safe as anywhere. Humor me, baby. I want one normal date before this war ends." The restaurant was beautiful, exclusive Italian place on the Gold Coast, closed to the public for the evening. Just Emma, Vincent, and soft music playing over expensive wine. They talked about everything and nothing. Emma's plans to expand the boutique into online sales, Vincent's childhood memories of his grandmother teaching him to cook, their shared love of old movies and terrible reality TV. For 2 hours, they were just Emma and Vincent. Not mafia boss and girlfriend, not crime lord and accomplice. Just two people in love, sharing a meal. Then dessert arrived, and Emma noticed something odd about the tiramisu. Nestled in the center was a small velvet box. Her breath caught. Vincent stood, moving to kneel beside her chair with surprising grace despite his barely healed leg. He opened the box to reveal a stunning ring. Emerald surrounded by diamonds, elegant and unique. "Emma Carter," Vincent said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "I'm a criminal, a killer, a man with more blood on his hands than you'll ever know. I can't promise you a normal life, a safe life, or even necessarily a long life. But I can promise you my absolute devotion, my complete loyalty, and every piece of my damaged soul. I love you more than power, more than my empire, more than my own survival. Marry me. Let me spend whatever time we have left making you happy." Emma's tears fell freely. This wasn't the proposal she'd imagined as a little girl. No white knight, no fairy tale, no perfect happy ending. This was real, messy, dangerous love with a deeply flawed man who'd somehow become her everything. "Yes," Emma whispered. "God help me. Yes." Vincent slid the ring onto her finger with shaking hands, then kissed her like she was his salvation. Around them, his guards discreetly applauded, and Emma laughed through her tears. "This is insane," she said against his lips. "Completely," Vincent agreed. "But it's ours." They spent the rest of the evening planning, not the wedding details, but the life after. Vincent wanted a small ceremony, just close family and trusted friends. Emma wanted her college roommate as maid of honor. They debated honeymoon locations. Vincent suggested the Italian coast. Emma countered with rural Japan. It was normal and domestic, and perfect. Then Vincent's phone rang. Emma watched his expression shift from joy to cold fury in seconds. He answered with clipped efficiency, asked pointed questions, then hung up with deadly calm. "What happened?" Emma asked, dread pooling in her stomach. "The Russos just kidnapped Marco," Vincent said flatly. "They're demanding I surrender half my territory in exchange for his life." Emma's blood turned to ice. Marco wasn't just Vincent's second in command. He was his best friend, his brother in everything but blood. "What are you going to do?" Emma asked, though she already knew. Vincent's eyes went dead and cold. The expression Emma had learned meant someone was about to die. "I'm going to get my cousin back," Vincent said quietly. "And then I'm going to burn the Russo family to the ground." "Vincent!" "Stay here with the guards," Vincent interrupted, already moving. "I'll come back when it's done." "Let me come with you," Emma pleaded. "I can help. I can—" "No," Vincent said firmly, cupping her face. "Emma, you're wearing my ring now. That makes you my wife in every way that matters. Which means I need to know you're safe while I do what's necessary. Please, baby, don't fight me on this. Emma saw the desperation beneath his control, the fear he'd lose both his cousin and his fiancée in one night. Come back to me, she whispered. Whatever it takes, come back. Always, Vincent promised, kissing her one last time. I love you, Emma. No matter what happens, remember that. Then he was gone, swept away by his men and weapons and the cold machinery of violence. Emma stood alone in the empty restaurant, her engagement ring heavy on her finger, and prayed to a god she wasn't sure existed that Vincent would survive the night, that they'd both survive long enough to have the future they'd just promised each other. Emma lasted exactly 45 minutes before she broke Vincent's order to stay put. She wasn't reckless. She'd learned enough about his world to know stupidity got people killed. But sitting idle while Vincent walked into what was obviously a trap felt impossible. Marco's kidnapping was bait, designed to draw Vincent out and eliminate him when he was emotional and vulnerable. Someone needed to see that clearly. Someone who wasn't blinded by loyalty and rage. I need to get to Vincent, Emma told Lisa, who stood guard outside the private dining room. Now. Absolutely not, Lisa said firmly. Vincent's orders were explicit. Vincent's about to walk into an ambush, Emma countered. The Russos know he'll come for Marco. They're counting on it. We need to warn him before he does something reckless. Lisa hesitated, clearly torn between following orders and recognizing Emma's point. Please, Emma pressed. You said Vincent's one of the good ones. Don't let him die because we followed rules blindly. Damn it, Lisa muttered, pulling out her phone. I'm calling Tony. We do this smart or not at all. 20 minutes later, Emma sat in an armored SUV racing toward the Russos' known headquarters, a warehouse complex in Bridgeport. Tony drove with military precision while Lisa coordinated with Vincent's other security teams over encrypted channels. Vincent's already on site, Lisa reported grimly. He went in with 8 men, heavy weapons. Radio silence since entry. Emma's stomach twisted with fear. How long ago? 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Anything could happen in 12 minutes. They arrived to find chaos. Multiple black SUVs parked haphazardly, the warehouse's main entrance blown open, gunfire echoing from inside. Emma's training as a physical therapist screamed that she should stay in the vehicle, stay safe. But love made people foolish. I'm going in, Emma announced. Like hell you are, Tony said. Vincent would murder me personally. Vincent might already be dead, Emma shot back. And I refuse to sit out here wondering. You can come with me or try to stop me, but I'm going either way. Tony and Lisa exchanged glances. Then Tony sighed heavily. Stay behind us, follow every instruction immediately, and if shooting starts, you hit the ground. Understood? Understood. They entered the warehouse carefully, Lisa leading with her weapon drawn. The interior was industrial. Concrete floors, metal beams, shipping containers stacked haphazardly. Bodies lay scattered, some in expensive suits, others in Russo colors. The battle had been brutal and recent. Emma tried not to look too closely at the dead, focusing instead on finding Vincent alive. They heard him before they saw him. His voice, cold and commanding, echoing through the cavernous space. Where's my cousin? Emma rounded a corner to find Vincent standing over a man tied to a chair. Isabella Russo's brother, Antonio. Vincent's shirt was torn and blood-splattered, his knuckles raw, a gun held loosely in his right hand. Marco was there too, beaten but alive, freed from his restraints and supported by 2 of Vincent's men. The relief Emma felt seeing Vincent alive nearly buckled her knees. Emma? Vincent's head whipped around, shock and fury warring on his face. What the hell are you doing here? Making sure you didn't die, Emma said, moving toward him despite Tony's restraining hand. You walked into an obvious trap. It was an obvious trap I planned for, Vincent said tightly. I had 30 men surrounding this building before I entered. The Russos never stood a chance. Then where's the rest of their family? Emma challenged. Antonio's not the boss. Where's his father, his brothers, the people actually running their organization? Vincent's expression flickered, and Emma knew she'd identified the flaw in his plan. They're not here, Marco said grimly, wincing as he spoke through a split lip. This was their plan B. If you'd come alone or with fewer men, they'd have killed you. But you brought an army, so they sacrificed Antonio and the foot soldiers while the real leadership escaped. Where? Vincent demanded, pressing his gun to Antonio's temple. Where did your family go? Antonio laughed despite the weapon. Somewhere you'll never expect. Somewhere that'll hurt you more than killing you would. Emma's blood ran cold as realization hit. The boutique, she whispered. They're going to burn my boutique. Vincent's face went white. He pulled out his phone, already dialing, but Emma knew with sick certainty they were too late. The boutique was across the city, minimally guarded because all of Vincent's resources were focused on the warehouse trap. It's already burning? Came the voice of one of Vincent's men over speakerphone. Fire department's on scene, but it's bad, boss. The whole building's engulfed. Emma's legs gave out. Tony caught her before she hit the concrete, but she barely registered it. Her mother's legacy, everything she'd fought to save, everything Vincent had helped her rebuild, gone. Destroyed because she'd fallen in love with a dangerous man. Vincent was moving instantly, barking orders, organizing his people. But Emma heard none of it through the roaring in her ears. Emma! Vincent crouched in front of her, gripping her shoulders. Baby, look at me. She focused on his face with effort. I will rebuild it, Vincent said fiercely. Brick by brick, exactly as it was. Better than it was. I swear to you. It doesn't matter, Emma interrupted, her voice hollow. Don't you see, Vincent? This is what your world does. It destroys everything beautiful, everything innocent. The boutique was my last piece of my mother, and now it's ash because of you. She saw him flinch like she'd shot him. I know, Vincent said quietly. I know, and I'm sorry. But Emma, we're alive. Marco's alive. We can rebuild buildings. We can't resurrect the dead. He was right. Rationally, Emma knew he was right. But grief didn't care about rationality. What happens now? Emma asked numbly. Vincent stood, his expression hardening into something terrifying. Now I finish this. Marco, take Emma somewhere safe. Tony, Lisa, go with them. Vincent, Marco started. That's an order. Vincent cut him off. The Russos wanted to hurt me by destroying Emma's boutique? Fine, but they're about to learn what real destruction looks like. Don't kill them, Emma said suddenly. Everyone turned to stare at her. Vincent, if you murder the Russo family, you'll start a blood feud that lasts generations. More death, more violence, more chances for you to die. Is revenge worth that? They burned your mother's legacy, Vincent said, his voice deadly soft. And killing them won't bring it back, Emma countered, finding strength she didn't know she possessed. But you know what would actually hurt them? Take everything they have, their businesses, their properties, their money. Leave them alive but powerless. That's worse than death for people like them. Vincent studied her for a long moment. You want mercy? I want strategy, Emma corrected. Mercy that looks like ruthlessness. Let them live knowing you destroyed their empire while they were helpless to stop it. That's how you win, Vincent. Not with more blood. Something shifted in Vincent's expression. Pride, maybe, or recognition. He turned to his men. New plan, Vincent announced. We're taking the Russo Empire apart piece by piece. Legal and financial warfare. By tomorrow morning, I want their assets frozen, their properties seized, their political protections gone. We ruin them completely. Marco grinned despite his injuries. Now that's the kind of revenge I can get behind. The next 72 hours were a whirlwind. Vincent's lawyers, accountants, and corrupt officials worked around the clock, dismantling the Russo family's infrastructure. Properties were foreclosed, bank accounts emptied through creative legal maneuvers, business licenses revoked. The few legitimate enterprises they owned suddenly faced intensive IRS audits and regulatory investigations. By Monday morning, the Russo family was finished, not dead, but broken. Their father suffered a stress-induced heart attack. Isabella fled to Europe with what little money she'd hidden offshore. Antonio disappeared entirely. Vincent had won without firing another shot. Emma watched from the sidelines, simultaneously impressed and horrified by the casual destruction of an entire criminal empire. This was Vincent's true power. Not violence, but the ability to dismantle lives through influence and intelligence. "The boutique site is cleared," Vincent told Emma on Tuesday evening, finding her staring at photos of the destroyed building. "Insurance is processing the claim, but I'm covering reconstruction costs regardless. We can rebuild exactly as it was, or redesign completely. Your choice." Emma set down the photos, looking at the man she'd agreed to marry. "I don't want to rebuild." Vincent went very still. "Emma? I want to build something new," Emma interrupted. "Not a replica of my mother's dream, but my own vision. Something that honors her memory but moves forward. Can we do that?" Relief flooded Vincent's face. "We can do anything you want, baby. Anything." They spent the evening designing Emma's new boutique, larger space, modern aesthetic, high-end and accessible pieces mixed together. A business that reflected who Emma had become, not who she'd been before Vincent. "I need to tell you something," Vincent said later as they lay tangled in bed. "About going legitimate. I've started the process, selling off the questionable businesses, investing in legal enterprises, cleaning up the family operation. It'll take years to fully transition, but I'm committed." "Because of me?" Emma asked. "Because of us," Vincent corrected. "Because I want our future children to inherit something they can be proud of. Because I want to grow old with you without looking over my shoulder constantly. Because you make me want to be better, Emma. I love you," Emma said simply. "Flawed, dangerous, complicated you. I love you. I love you too," Vincent replied. Enough to change everything. They married 6 months later in a small ceremony at the estate, rebuilt and reinforced with the kind of security that made Fort Knox look casual. Sophia flew in from Seattle, Marco served as best man, and Emma's college roommate cried through the entire ceremony. Emma wore a simple ivory dress, elegant but understated. Vincent wore a traditional black suit and looked at her like she'd hung the moon. "I promise to protect you," Vincent said during his vows. "To respect you. To honor your independence while offering my support. I promise to always be honest, even when the truth is ugly. And I promise to spend every day of our lives proving I'm worthy of your love. I promise to stand beside you," Emma vowed. "Through the darkness and the light. I promise to challenge you, to keep you human, to remind you why we're building this life together. And I promise to love you, obsessive, possessive, complicated you, until my last breath." They kissed as husband and wife, and somehow Emma believed they might actually survive their impossible love story. The new boutique opened a year later. Emma Carter Moretti Luxury Designs, a fusion of her mother's elegance and her own modern vision. It was an instant success, drawing celebrities and socialites from across the country. Vincent watched the grand opening from the sidelines, his hand resting protectively on Emma's growing belly. Their daughter would be born in 3 months, another chapter in their unlikely story. "Happy?" Vincent asked, pulling Emma close. "Terrified," Emma admitted. "But yes, happy. Are you?" "More than I ever thought possible," Vincent said honestly. "You healed more than my shoulder, Emma. You healed my entire life." "We healed each other," Emma corrected, watching customers browse her carefully curated collection. That's how love works. 5 years later, Emma stood in that same boutique, now expanded to 3 locations, watching her daughter play among the dress racks while Vincent negotiated a real estate deal on his phone. His empire was almost entirely legitimate now, luxury hotels, property investments, venture capital. The violence hadn't disappeared completely. Chicago's underworld had long memories, but it was distant now, managed by others, no longer the center of their lives. Emma had learned to live with the shadows in Vincent's past, and he'd learned to exist in her light. Their love story wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy, complicated, forged in darkness and polished by determination. But it was real. And somehow, against all odds and logic, it was enough. Emma looked at her husband, former Mafia boss, current real estate mogul, devoted father, the love of her life, and smiled. She'd healed the Mafia boss's soul, and he'd bought her the freedom to build her dreams. Then they'd built a life together that neither could have imagined alone. And that, Emma decided, was the best kind of love story there was. The end.